A witless man, when he meets with men, had best in silence abide, for no one shall find that nothing he knows, if his mouth is not open too much. Hey everyone, it's Jeremy, and welcome back. This is turn 27 of the game Aries. This is a very big turn. This is going to take a bit, so I feel like I'm giving things away with Big Sigh. Settle in. This is going to take a bit to get through. We've got a lot to cover. All right, let's get started. All right, so starting off, we have a bunch of battles. Again, I'm going to kind of flit through the ones that I think aren't super important, and then we will take a look at the two actually important battles. So, I have a battle here in Copper Canyons where Gath has attacked. This is a reinforcement squad, right? Pretty large, right? Mostly Levites and crossbowmen, but couple mages, etc. Right? No big deal. We've got a battle in Rick Balcor where we attacked with a scout just pinging to see if he left any province defense. He did leave some province defense. Not much. That's okay. Battle in Debrithia where we actually attack one PD and bowl it over. Good. We've got a battle in Mighty Pillars where we're jumping on the last fort that Ulm has. And we lost 6 long dead and 1 long dead giants, just killing PD. So this means that I'm not sure why he did this. He probably had a better bet if he patrolled, because he has like 40 or so rangers, and if he had them behind all of this, they might have actually been able to beat this off. I'm not sure. So he's got like 40 or so rangers in this place. Well, this probably can't beat that, but we'll see. You know. I'm mostly just trying to pin Ulm down so he can't stab me in the back. And we have battle in Lowmark, where we went out with a little raiding party of Hearse, and there was actually a little force of Gittites here, and they kicked those Huskarls' asses. In fact, let's watch this real quick. See exactly what happens. So these guys are pretty strong. They've got 14 protection, 14 defense. I actually feel like we should be able to do something against that. Don't get me wrong. Pretty much every time they swing, they're going to be killing a Huskarl. But the Huskarls with their axes hit for 18, so I kind of find it surprising that we didn't chop at least one of them down. Maybe they just got a really quick route or something. Oh, we have the javelin lines. Oh, goodness. Why are... Weird. I wonder why these guys charged forward on their own like that. It's a very interesting situation. So, yeah, I feel like this is... don't get me wrong, I think like they would win this, but I feel like this is pretty bad luck that we didn't chop up like 1 or 2 of them. We have pretty good attack density, right? 3, well, I say pretty good, compared to them, right? They have 2 attacks, we have 3 attacks. So not cutting up one of these guys, or 2 of these guys, it seems pretty unlikely to me. So, unfortunate on that one. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and blitz through the rest of these things. So, spiders attacked in Ironwood Forest, and we killed the crap out of those. No big deal. And then we have our 2 big battles. We have Defaros and we have Utgard. So we're going to go ahead and watch Defaros first. Okay, so Defaros. We have our big line of gaudy Huskarls. We have some Huskarls in the front. We have some undead giants on one side. We have 4 Seathkona masters, right? 3 Seathkona slaves, and 2 werewolf slaves, okay? Versus this. He did not move his whole army in. And you know, it's probably for the best, truth be told. You'll see why. Alright, I'm gonna hover in on exactly the scenario, and I want you to watch. We're gonna go. All right. And if you're looking at text, you already see what? But now, oh, what? So we have master, 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 slave, 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 nothing, and quicken self. Excuse me? Werewolves? Werewolves, what are you doing? I don't know what has happened here. I can't show it now because I've already made changes to the map and everything like that, or to the turn because I'm did everything ahead of time. But these guys are set on Sabbath slaves. Like if you go check the previous video, these guys are set on Sabbath slave, and they have blood slaves. They just decided not to Sabbath slave. And that's a real fucking big problem. Like, we're gonna win this because this is overwhelming numbers, right? But if he had reinforced with the 70 or so guys that were from Province 1, he probably would have slaughtered this army. So I'm just gonna let this play, right? We got some swarm casting. That's fine. No big deal. Everything comes in. Immediately, the Horde of Skeletons spam begins. Right? And they do great. And I do want to highlight this. Look at how... So, I think now is the end of the script? No, this is the last... Yeah, this is the last turn of the script, I believe. And then we go to raise dead, raise dead. He didn't actually raise any dead because... See, I hate that. I hate that, and I'm highlighting it now because it's going to become a thing later. He cast raise dead, right? He cast raise dead, or this Seath cast raise dead, and raised an amount of dead that was already dead on the field, right? Because raise dead requires corpses. Then this dumb son of a bitch casts raise dead as well, but there's no more corpses. So nothing happens. That. Alright, whatever. We'll ignore that, casting AI. But then they go into this, right? And this doesn't make any sense to me. They go into raise skeletons, okay? Instead of horde of skeletons. Now granted, maybe they're trying to be mindful of their fatigue, because these slaves are already at 170 fatigue because they're not supported by the fucking werewolves, who are at basically nothing. But so we know what's gonna happen here, right? My masters keep spamming, and eventually my slaves are going to. There's an enlarge. Interesting. And then all of a sudden, right? Like, all of a sudden, one FLR starts casting. Because he hasn't been casting this entire time. And then and they both start casting imps. Like, okay? Sure, I guess? We've lost a slave at this point. We're gonna lose the other two slaves. Yeah, they're the other two slaves. And that's about the end of the battle, right? So the issue here is of course, it takes forever to chop these guys up because they are ethereal, right? But again, I want to reiterate this. We knew that was the issue, right? The whole plan was, okay, we can flood the field with skeletons to serve as chaff and whittle things down, or buy time while we spam things like Mind Burn or Shadow Bolt or what have you, right? So this is Defaros. We lost 3 Seath Konas. We might have lost these anyways, even if the werewolves had slaved up, but they didn't, and I don't know why, and that's kinda... I don't know what to say there. That is That is a thing in Dominions that is incredibly frustrating. Though I don't know that I've ever witnessed things just not casting Communion Slave or Sabbath Slave. I don't know what to say on that. Like, I legitimately don't. We won the battle, right? Had he reinforced, we absolutely would have lost. We would have been slaughtered because our Communion would not have done nearly what it was supposed to do. Not without the werewolves being slaves. Okay, so that's victory, but issue number 1, right? And the other issue is we did lose 3 Seath Konos that we didn't want to lose. Okay? Other than that, we only lost, like, a couple of long dead, so this is kind of whatever. Like, we don't really care about that. 1 Huskarl, 1 Garm hurting, none of our gaudy Huskarls, so this is okay, right? But it's those 3 Seath Konos that are the issue. Okay, so we're gonna go watch Utgard. We're gonna watch the forces arrayed here. Okay. We have our massive line of gaudy Huskarls. We've got a whole bunch of undead. Not a crazy amount of undead, but a whole bunch of undead. We've got the Wolfkin Raiders down here. Cool. He has his big force. Long line of Gittites. Crossbowmen on the wings. Big block of Gibbers and Levites in the center. A bunch of Abbas. A bunch of Sibyls. These are for Swarm and Wooden Warriors. These are for Body Ethereal. This is all anticipated. We knew all of this was coming. Okay? And then we've got our line of Nornas. We've got our massive line of Seath Konas and 1 werewolf. Who, thankfully, I'm just going to go throw this out there. He does slave up. Although I... And then we've got Air Force 1, right? So, all right, let's just watch the battle from zoomed out positions, and then we'll watch the battle again from a secondary scenario. So we watch all of the communioning goes off. We get a divine blessing over here. We get a huge swarm cast, right? A bunch of swarms go off. We get a bunch of bugs in our back line. Thankfully, they do absolutely nothing. So that's good. The blocks start to move forward. This group of Gittites wasn't on a hold like everyone else was, so they kind of get caught, and they're going to be the main focus here in the early battle. They're going to get surrounded. We have waves of undead coming. Now we get to the raised dead portion, so we start to see that come up. The Wolfkin Reavers get basically bashed to crap by the Gibbers, right? They didn't get around, so that's unfortunate. The crossbows in the back are firing volleys into everything, and then we begin to kind of form this big melee in the center. And this is a relatively long battle, so I'm going to bump it up to speed 2. And you're going to notice something, right? Like, slowly but surely, we are not producing nearly as much undead as we could be. We got some lightning bolts coming out from Air Force 1. He ran out of air gems, and now he's just doing what he can, basically. Occasionally zapping, not being super successful, but occasionally zapping. We do have his prophet back here, right? Is a priest 3, so he's doing banishments, and that's good. That's successful for them. But you see, like, our line is just getting thinner and thinner and thinner, right? And we're getting to the point to where now we are routing, the Nornas are routing, and this is basically the end of the battle. Okay. So we knew going in, right? You looked at the last video, I knew going in, right? There was the chance that we don't win. There was a chance that we lose, right? But it was that concept of, okay, what we have right here is a crazy, massive, effective communion. Even if we lose, we're going to probably do so much damage to this army that it's really going to hurt it, Okay, so let's check the actual damage. 28 guys. Oh, okay. We killed 17 Gittites, 7 Levites, and 4 Givers. All right. Well, what happened there? Was this a huge miscalculation on my part? It was risky, I will absolutely say that, but was it a huge miscalculation on my part? No, not really. No, it wasn't a huge miscalculation. It was a huge stroke of bad luck. And I will say this is going to be what the majority of the rest of the episode is about, right? I'll try to make it take not too long, but we're going to dive into detail on what exactly happened and why, right? But I will say I've been playing this game for about a year and a half now in multiplayer games, right? I've been playing it for probably about 2 years in single player games. I love this game to death. It is incredibly fun. But sometimes this game makes it hard to like it. Makes it really fucking hard to like it. And it's these types of situations. So what did we lose out of this, right? We lost Werewolf, right? We lost 10 of our 35 Seathkonas, okay? 34 Huskarls, 19 Javelinists, all of our dead, all of our long dead, and our mercenaries. Our Nornas survived. They fled the battlefield. Air Force One survived, fled the battlefield, and we killed 28 people. Let's watch the battle again, and we're gonna zoom in on actually what happens here. And I've watched this probably like 20 times at this point. I've actually got a spreadsheet with numbers and everything. So we're gonna go in depth on what's going on. So, initial couple rounds, right? Everything goes off without a hitch here, right? All of the scripted casting is accurate, and I was super worried after I watched the Defaros fight, right? But this werewolf does Sabbath Slave, all of my Communion Masters master up, all of my Communion Slaves slave up. Everything works the way it's supposed to work. Okay? We immediately get our random round of buffs, right? Astral Shield, Barkskin, Twist Fate, Personal Regeneration. We have to wait a little bit for Power of the Spheres. Then we get bugs that come down, right? Fortunately, though, we've already got Astral Shield up. We've already got Regeneration up. We've already got Barkskin up, right? So these bugs do basically nothing, right? They get a couple of javelins thrown at them. They get killed by some air elementals, and they don't effectively do anything, except for waste just a little bit of time on some of the units. Then we go into the Horde of Skeletons spam. Okay. All good. We have, by the way, with the communion that we have a magic boost 3, right? Which is pretty good. So all of these Nornas are doing about 7 to 8 skeletons per cast of Horde of Skeletons. And that's important, okay? Okay. Horde of Skeletons, Horde of Skeletons, Horde of Skeletons. And then this should be the last round of Horde of Skeletons, I believe. Yep, so this is the last scripted Horde of Skeletons. Cat, what are you doing? It's at this point, right? So if we're doing our average of 7 skeletons, I swear to God, Cat, why do you got to do this right now? Right now? Right now? Give me that box. Give me that box, Cat. That box, Cat. Yeah. With that. I'm gonna go steal a box from my cat because he's bang-a-langing over here. Alright. So it's at this point, right, that if we do the average of 7-ish Horde of Skeletons, or 7-ish skeletons per Horde of Skeletons, right, we just got done with 15 casts, because it was 3 casts per Norna, right? We just got done with 15 casts. So we have another 100 plus skeletons that we have summoned onto the field in 3 rounds, okay? That's what we're looking for, right? That's that kind of average. So 3 rounds, 100 skeletons. We're sitting at 40 fatigue. Okay, we're sitting at 106 on the werewolf, but whatever. He doesn't matter. He can't die. Well, he can, but all right. So immediately it switches over to. It sees the opportunity. It switches over to Raise Dead. Okay, and we get a fairly robust number of Raised Deads from 3 of them. We also get a 4th Raised Dead that does literally nothing because there are no more targets to raise from the dead. So that's a bitch. That's a gripe that I have with the AI, but okay, whatever. We get an anti-magic, an off-script anti-magic from this Norna, which is cool. I mean, I'm not really going to complain about that. Then we get some more Raised Deads, more Horde of Skeletons. Okay, cool. Not bad. Raised Dead, Horde of Skeletons. All right, here we go. This is the first turn it starts to happen. Panic and panic. Okay. Raised Dead. Panic. Panic. Raised Dead for 2 people. Raised Dead for like 2 or 3 people. Okay. Raised Dead. Panic. 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 Okay. Oh. I see what's happening now. Okay. Over the course of this battle, I'm gonna play this on slow as we kind of like talk through this now. Over the course of this battle, my Nornas cast 25 spells on script, right? They all cast their Communion Master, each of them cast the buff that was assigned to them, and then they each cast Horde of Skeletons 3 times. Okay? Great, fantastic, wonderful. After that, from the scripting part to the end of the battle, my 5 Nornas cast 95 spells. That is amazing, by the way. That is fantastic. That is great. Okay? 95 spells. That is phenomenal. They cast 120 spells over the course of this battle. Fucking A, man. That is wonderful. They cast 17 Horde of Skeletons off script. Not these aren't counting the 15 that we cast at the beginning. They cast 17 Horde of Skeletons. They cast 31 Raised Dead. And at least half of those Raised Dead were either complete failures, right? They raised nothing, or they raised less than 5. Okay? They cast Anti-Magic once. We saw that. They cast Raised Skeleton once, which I have literally no earthly idea why. And we saw this with the Seathkonas in the other fight. No idea why a caster would cast Raised Skeletons, because it's the same fatigue cost as Horde of Skeletons. It just, I don't understand, but whatever, right? They cast Panic 44 times. 95 spells off script. They cast Panic 44 times. No Mind Burns, no Shadow Bolts, no more Horde of Skeletons. They cast Panic 44 times. I have watched, like I said, I've watched this battle 20 times, maybe? Slow-mo, watching it, checking repeatedly over and over and over again. I haven't found a single instance. I've found... Oh, I lie. I did it right there. I just found the one. Panic has done one instance of routing someone. 44 casts. Does it actually show a... No, so it doesn't show an effect in there. It just shows, that they're routing. We route one person out of 44 casts of Panic. Okay? Oh, No. I was like, is that guy gonna turn and run? No. This sucks. This is just horrendous, right? This is absolutely incredibly bad luck, right? Any other of the main spells, like we watched the battle in Defaros, right? They cast Luck a couple times, they cast Enlarge a couple times. If they had switched over to something like Mind Burn, that might have been it would have been perfectly fine, right? Switching to something like Shadow Bolt would have been perfectly fine. Just sticking with Horde of Skeletons, or hell, even Raised Skeletons, would have been more acceptable, right? Panic routed one person, and they cast it 44 times. If they had cast Horde of Skeletons another 30 times, right? That would have been another 210 skeletons on the battlefield. Would that have mattered? Would that have made the difference? Right? When we look at the grand scale of things, I had about 32 castings, not about 32 castings, I had exactly 32 castings of Horde of Skeletons between script and off script. And that got me around 220 skeletons on the field. And then I had 160 troops, right? 15 of which were casters, basically, so 45 troops. And then you count the raised deads, 31 of them, actually, but half of them were effective, right? So we'll say 15 times 10, because you get 10 plus, but really it was 10 most of the time. So another 150 skeletons. Would another 210 skeletons from Horde of Skeletons mattered? In a vacuum, no, it wouldn't have mattered, right? In a vacuum, an extra 210 bodies just to fight these guys still would have chopped those down. They would have lost a few more guys, maybe another 5 or 10, whatever. Not a big deal. It wouldn't have swung the battle in my favor, no. But this isn't a vacuum, right? The battle isn't a vacuum. Because here's the kicker to all of this, right? They cast Panic 44 times. Great, wonderful, right? We're gonna fast forward to the point to where they start to all flee. Good job, by the way, on Norna 5 being the last to go. Okay. At this point in the battle, I'm only at 100. I'm only at 150. My communion is at half strength at this point. I could cast another 95 spells at this point. And that's what stings. That's what really, really hurts. Is because if they were casting useful spells, if they were casting Mind Burns, if they had 44 Mind Burns, half of these guys would be dead. Right? If they had 44 Shadow Bolts, half these guys would be dead. I don't know if 44 Lux or Enlarges would have mattered that much, but they would have been better than Panic. I'll tell you that much. Right? Another 44 Hordes of Skeletons, right? Another 44 Horde of Skeletons is 308 guys. That's just from what got cast. The thing is if the line, those skeletons, right? What I expected was to have not 300 more skeletons. I expected maybe another 150 because I expected them to switch between other spells. But to favor Horde of Skeletons like most communions with death in them do, right? And if I had had more skeletons in the line, it would have held the line for longer. Holding the line for longer means they cast more spells. Casting more spells means we get even more skeletons or even more other useful spells like Mind Burn or Shadow Blast or Enlarge or what have you, right? That's the point. That's the point of a crazy large communion like this, is not just... It's the longevity of the casting, right? I could have had 200 spells cast in this battle. Would that have mattered? Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? If 30 of those panics had been Mind Burns, or 30 of those panics had been Horde of Skeletons, we either would have killed way more and had a more favorable scenario, or, right, we would have increased the length of the battle and had more skeletons come out to whittle down and hold the line, right? And that would have made all the difference in the world. Again, this is going back to the previous episode, right? That's what I anticipated, right? I might have still lost. I might have still been like, okay, it still wasn't enough to pull it out. But at that point, I would have done way more damage. But instead, we cast Panic 44 times. I can't unsee that, right? So of course, right, Panic is kind of notoriously one of those less useful spells. It doesn't seem to... here's the other thing, right? These guys have 14 morale. These guys have 9 morale. Okay, sure, if they're being targeted. The Levites have 17 morale, right? Like, these are horrible targets to be casting Panic at. And they cast it 44 times. 44 times! Are you kidding me? Ugh. So this is incredibly bad. Okay? It's incredibly unlucky. It's incredibly bad. So, what are we gonna do? Well, and I'm not saying this in like a, well, fuck it way, right? But what we're probably gonna do is die. Okay. Like, realistically speaking, we needed that army to win, or we needed that army to lose, but do so in a fashion that it took most of that force with him, right? If we had lost 155 of our 166 and we had killed him down to 40 units, that would be an entirely different thing, okay? Right? That would be an entirely different thing. It would still be unfortunate, right? That would be a rough loss for us, but that would be a manageable choice. Now, though, our options are extremely limited. Do not get me wrong, I am going to do absolutely everything that I can think of to try to survive, to try to pull the rabbit out of my hat, but having the communion, that was a massive amount of our power, right? Having the communion die like that is a huge blow, and it feels very bad because I don't feel like we lost that through any real fault of our own. Body Ethereal and Wooden Warriors as a combination is fantastic, do not get me wrong, and we did not have great tools going up against it, but we had options, right? We had powerful attack magic that could harm them. Mind Burn would have done a bunch of damage. Or just spamming Horde of Skeletons till the end of time also would have done a bunch of damage. But that's not what happened. Ow. So, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on trying to achieve what we can. But realistically, he has a force of... we're going to kind of like array things. He has a force of 160, about right here. That is going to be able to siege Utgard down in a turn or two. Is a reinforcing army here, right? I do not think it is quite this large. I think it's actually closer to 100, but it's kind of irrelevant. It's going to be able to reinforce this army, and then it's going to be crazy, right? This was the reason why we wanted to hit this army now, instead of just holding up in Utgard, right? Is we wanted to hit it while we still had the option of quibbling it before it could get reinforced by this. But now that has come to pass. We no longer have that option. So this is gonna be our death knell, basically. So we've got this 130 force. We've got a 40 force of Gittites and Levites coming in here. 50 mostly Gittites, Gibbers, and Levites here. Another 70 of Gittites, Gibbers, and Naphtali. So he's got a crazy amount of units ready to sweep into my lands. Losing an Utgard means that really all we have is down here in Dofaros. And we're going to try to fight smart, but eventually we're going to have to fight. And it's gonna be rough. But I'm not throwing in the towel. I'm gonna do what I can do. So again, we're gonna go back to the concept of different fronts. We have our southern front, our middle front, and our northern front. So let's see what's going on in each one of them. Okay, so in the Almish front, right, we are going to strike out with a little band of Hearses, this little hearse and a band of Huskarls, right? Basically just hoping that he doesn't have much going on here, and we're going to try to strangle Ulm out of the game. I don't know if this is more in an attempt to be not the first person out, or what, but we'll see how it goes, right? We also have King. He's going to sit on Mighty Pillars and try to just hold it. We're going to reinforce with, is that hearse number? I didn't rename him, sorry. So yeah, this is hearse number 4. Great. So he's coming in with a little band of troops, basically just to try to reinforce King. And that's pretty much it, right? We are recruiting a Seathkona down here because we need more Seathkonas. We don't have the money to do anything really up here, so we're not. Pretty much as simple as that. So we have this force going over to our middle front, right, the Dofaros front. We have this force of Seaths and Jarl 2 moving onto Dofaros. And there, you can see they're moving and patrolling, and we also have our units in Dofaros patrolling as well. And that is because we need to keep... we don't have enough to really provide a good defense, and we need to hold Dofaros. Dofaros at this point is a choke point. We have to... or not a choke point. It's our main area now, because we're going to lose Utgard. So we need to hold it as long as we can. If he comes in with these 70 and these 50, and I'm not patrolling, he'll crush whatever is here, and then we'll have to fight out. So I would rather catch him in this scenario. Again, though, if he comes with this type of setup, and we have... I feel wholly unconfident now. Like, I felt incredibly confident earlier. I feel wholly unconfident now. Because I don't know if the Seaths are just gonna spam panic. I hope that is not the case, but we will see. So what do I actually have set up? I have a very big line of Gaudy Huskarls, right? I have a bunch of Mine Burns scripted initially, right? So we're gonna see how that works. And I have... a bunch of Mine Burns over here. So we've got 2 slaves and 2 masters in Ironwood coming into Dofaros, and we've got 1 master and 3 slaves in Dofaros. We're gonna have Fjalar try to be a Sabbath slave again, right? We're gonna see how that works, I guess. I don't know. I really do not know. And then this guy has been re-scripted. We don't have Alteration 4 yet, but he's been re-scripted to do what he can anyways, because I think that's going to be more valuable than, especially if he won't Sabbath slave up, I think it's going to be more valuable for him to do that than it will be for him to try to be a Sabbath slave. So he's going to Breath of Winter, Quicken Self, and I have him on cast, right? Because we are going to have Alteration 4 at that point, and I kind of hope that he does use this option to cast Liquid Body, right? If he does, great. If he doesn't, whatever. I don't care. So he's going to go in, and he's going to try to do what he can. Okay? Fantastic. Then we've got all the rest of our units, the Gaudy Huskarls, the Huskarls, etc. We're holding here, and hopefully that's going to work. My hope is that getting access to new spells with Alteration 4, basically getting access to things like Body Ethereal, is going to mean that the Communion doesn't prefer Panic. I guess that's I don't know what to fucking say at this point, honestly. So we'll see how it goes. That's and then we're moving Jarl 1, Balder, and Hearst 3, right, with their little raiding force. We're moving them into Lowmark, kind of chasing this group of Gittite soldiers, right? And trying to increase our survivability, right? We're trying to counter raid. We're trying to get as much back as we can so we can continue the good fight, right? In the northern front, we have Waywoods. Hearst 2 is moving into Yrick Falkor. We did see that there was only one PD in there earlier. He might alter that in between now and then, but we're going to move into attack to C. Hopefully that works out for us. This group of Seaths is going to continue to research for now because they are a very big portion of our research. And we need to get Alteration 4. We are right at the point to where we just barely slide in for Alteration 4. Okay? What are we doing in Utgard? We're doing a couple of things. Mostly we're reanimating, and we're summoning Sloths of Bears, okay? So that's primarily, I don't think this is going to matter, right? But that is primarily because Gath has moved around a whole bunch, okay? I don't think he's going to now because he won this battle. I think he's just going to be like, okay, well, time to pop Utgard. But he's moved around a bunch, and I don't know if there might be some small chance that he doesn't try to pop Utgard in this turn, right? And that gives me the opportunity to kind of fortify my position and do what I can to, like, come to the rescue with the Pharos, right? Because if nothing happens next turn, this army might be able to do something. Like, maybe we move into the Land of Plenty, bring down to these Seaths, and try to do one massive last stand in Utgard. Maybe. I don't know. I do not expect that is going to be the case. But I am using my gems because I'm not one of those people that likes to sit on their gems and death basket at the end of the game. If I'm going down, I'm going to use every single freaking gem that I possibly can to try to either win or hurt the person as much as I can get away with. So that's the plan. And then there's one last thing that you will notice that I'm doing. I'm empowering Norna 3. I'm empowering her in Astral. So I'm using, I think that's 45 Astral Pearls to empower her in Astral. Why am I doing this? Well, because I have Thaumaturgy 3. And Thaumaturgy 3 means I have Teleport. So Norna 5 and Norna 2 can already teleport out of Utgard. Air Force 1 can Cloud Trapeze out of Utgard. I had 55 Astral Pearls, and if I'm dying, those astral pearls are basically worthless right now. Like, I'm not gonna use... what am I gonna use astral pearls for? I'm gonna alchemize them into other pearls so I can use them for summons. That's all I'm gonna do. Like, that's the only thing astral pearls are really good for in the beginning of the game, except for, like, scrying and probing. And I'm not doing that right now. So, I'm just... This is... Keep in mind, I would not normally do this. I feel like this is... I need to clarify that. I would not normally empower a 2 astral mage when I have level 3 astrals sitting around. Like, that's just stupid. But what that allows me to do is when this gets popped next turn, because it's probably going to get popped next turn, and when the scenario doesn't work out, right? Next turn, I'm going to be able to Cloud Trapeze Air Force 1 and teleport Norna 2, 5, and 3 out of Utgard and somewhere safe. Either to Defaros or maybe down to Ulm. It's a way for me to use some resources to save other resources, basically. And that's really all I can do at this moment. So, that's the plan. Air Force 1 is researching, because Air Force 1 is the last little bit of research I need to get into Alteration 3. Okay? And that's mostly it, right? Like, we don't really have a whole lot of... I'm not scripting them because nothing's going to happen this turn. But that's about all that we can do. When the time comes for an actual battle, if I have taken Yrick Balcor, or if I have the ability to move into, like, the Land of Plenty, I might try to sally out and then retreat to a safe province, one of these 2 provinces, or maybe even Desert of the Cliff Dwellers, right? I want to make it understood. I'm not throwing in the towel. I'm going to do everything that I think I can do to make this successful. Okay? So, that is it for actual movements. I'm recruiting a bunch of Huskarls down here, mostly because I think I just need chaff. I keep going back to the concept of maybe just using Jotun Javelinists, because they hit way harder. I just get so fewer of them comparatively. It's just we can't do Gaudy Huskarls right now. So maybe we just do Jotun Javelinists. We'll do that for now. We're doing some Huskarls up here. Can I do more Javelinists? I can. So we're just gonna pump as much as we can into Defaros. And that's it for the turn. So, messages. I got a couple messages I've got to send out. So, this is now the dire scenario, right? Gath is going to win this war if I do not receive aid. Like, serious aid. Gath might win this war even if I do receive serious aid. And that's fine. That's okay, right? But I'm going to try to do whatever I can to make my way out of this, okay? So Gath is this, basically. I'm going to try to communicate to Atlantis, to Vadihheim, and to Erythia the extent of Gath's power and what is happening to me. And normally I don't do this, right? Because normally it's like once you start calling into people, they just start attacking you. Like, Vadihheim might just be like, oh, okay. Gobble, 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 right? It's entirely possible. Absolutely. But that's a risk I have to take at this point. This is why I'm not like, once I started attacking Ulm, I wasn't immediately like, hey, Erythia, attack Ulm in the bottom, and hey, Vadihheim, attack him from the north. Because you don't want to, I don't know. You get what I'm saying, basically. But now is that time where the dire straits are in play, you know? I don't if I get attacked by Vadihheim, so what at this point, right? Like, I'm already going down to Gath. It's the either I get assistance, I do what I can, or else I die anyways. So, all right then. We are sending message to Atlantis. And Atlantis has been the staunch ally so far, so I'm going to try to feed them the most information. So unfortunately, we had a horrible turn. We had a massive battle on our capital, and our communion just spammed panic off script instead of doing anything useful. So we lost most of our capital force and only killed about 30 guys. I still have a second army, but now it's much less likely I will successfully resist Gath, at least without reinforcement by another player. If you're interested, great. If not, I understand. For information, and so I'm just going to give him a bunch of information. We've already gone over this: 160 in 18, 130 in 12, 40 in 5, 50 in 1, 70 in 1. I will likely lose my cap within 2 turns. My secondary army is mustering. For now, I'll just focus on resisting him. I'm just giving Atlantis a bunch of information. Atlantis might not do anything with this information. Atlantis might be like, so long, Utgard. But you don't gain anything from not trying. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, message to Vadihheim. Okay, and the messages to Vadihheim and Erythia are both going to just be informative message, right? Heyo, just giving you a heads up that Gath has begun invading me. He's already quite large and my lands are quite fertile. If he gets away with it without penalty, he's going to be very, very strong. He's got 450 troops on my borders or in my lands, so it's unlikely he has much towards your side. If you're interested, you should be able to pick up some easy free lands and then just sue for peace with them. He'll likely accept favorable terms for you just to make sure he can focus on me. Just giving you the heads up. I'll likely get taken down, bad luck, and he attacked me while I was attacking Ulm, so I'm just throwing out suggestions for other players while I still have the chance. Good luck. So what am I doing there? Most players do not want to come to the aid of a dying player. That is not typically how... Atlantis might, because Atlantis and I have had a good rapport the entire game. Most other players do not like the concept of just trying to save someone who's dying, right? But picking off border provinces from someone who's growing way too large is an entirely different story. Especially, right? I don't know about Vadihheim, because they look like they're doing okay. But Erythia is quite small, right? So that's basically the same message that I'm gonna send to Erythia. A little bit different, but basically the same thing. Hey, not sure what your diplomatic situation is like, but Gath has started attacking me. He's already quite large and my lands are quite fertile. He's doing well against me, bad luck on my part, and he hit me while I was engaged with Ulm. If he eats me uncontested, he might be too strong for people to deal with. If you have the chance, I would recommend eating some of your borderlands. He's got 450 troops on my border or in my land, so he doesn't have much elsewhere to reinforce with. If you snag a few provinces and then sue for peace, he'll likely agree just so he can focus on me. I'm not telling you this because it will save me, because I'll likely die anyways, but if enough people gobble Gath's borders while he's focused on me, it will keep him from growing out of control. Whatever you decide, good luck. What am I doing here? I am trying to couch the information that I am giving to Vadihheim and Erythia in such a way that they view this not as them coming to my rescue, right? But as them preventing another player from going out of control. And that's the message that I really want to send, is I'm trying to reinforce to them that if they do nothing, Gath will be... I'm actually pretty convinced that if they do nothing, Gath is going to... Because my lands are insanely wealthy, right? They are very, very fertile. They're very good lands, right? These are some good lands. So if Gath gets away with this, if he just devours me without any contest, this is going to be really bad for everyone else. Like, this might just be run away with the game bad. So if I can get Vati and Erythia to just take a couple border provinces, right? And then be like, oh, hey, look, we're just making sure you don't get too big. Peace, you know, that type of thing. Gath will probably, I mean, he's not going to do it forever, right? But he's going to do one of two things. He's going to be like, fuck you. And then he's in a war on multiple fronts, which is good for me, right? Or he's going to say, yeah, okay, fine, right? Which doesn't really do me any good, right? I still die, but it... I don't know. It's me going down swinging, basically. Okay? So that is the situation. I'm not going to bother sending a message to Lemuria because I think Lemuria's done talking to me. Lemuria hasn't responded to any of the messages. I think the last 2 messages that I sent. By the way, we're going to say the well chokes on its own blood. So I'm not going to send a message to Lemuria. I'm pretty sure they're just like, well, fuck that guy after I didn't come riding to their rescue. Yeah, which is fine. That's fair. I understand. It happens. So that is the situation. I'm so sad, man. Panic. 44 times. Panic. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh my god. Ah. Panic. You win some, you lose some. I'll see you next time, everybody. Peace.